just not the sports news. Available on omniaudio.africa and on YouTube at Omni Audio Africa.
It's a very good morning. It's the Friday edition.
You know I'm impatient.
We had to play this.
No, we did.
We had to play this. And I'll tell you why. This song has blown up around the world on every TikTok, everywhere. And then this Belgian producer took the original and remixed it like this. I'm going to have to put on my sunnies for this part. You ready?
The cool Kevin.
I love it. Make it louder, make it louder. Make it louder.
Who do you want me to be? Cause I'm just messy and I'm too fucking clean. You told me better job than you, I swear the hell I've been. And I'm too perfect till I open my big mouth. I want to be me. Is that not allowed? And I'm too clever and I'm too fucking dumb. You hate it when I cry unless that's how
That guy. Even them dudes liking it. Alright, that's Friday. It's Friday. Welcome to the show. It's the end of the week. It's the derby.
It's such a weekend.
There's some good news and there's some not good news, but the weekend is full of action. There's the Six Nations, which starts. There's great English Premiership football, Manchester City and Arsenal. There's the derby, of course, but we've also got a great show lined up for you today. The unfortunate part is we have to start with some fairly significantly sad news, which most people won't know. People will be aware of the air crash disaster in Washington, D.C., the airplane that the flight 5342 that American Airlines flight that crashed into the American
Into the
helicopter.
Potomac River, yeah.
So it goes into the Potomac River, but what you don't know, what you may not know, is who was on board.
Yeah, it's 67 people now, when I checked the last count that I believe to be dead more than. And it's the Skating Club Boston. It said it had 6 members that were on the plane. So it was skaters Yinahan and Spencer Lane, both 16. Then it was Han's mother Yinhan and Lane's mother Molly Lane. And the club also said the Russian-born ice skating coaches and former world champions, that's Yevgeny Shivkova and Vadim Naumov, they were husband and wife, and they were among the members.
That sucks.
Actually, on that flight.
It's quite funny, not funny actually, but it reminded me of the Busby Babes, the air disaster at Manchester United. Basically, most of the team died in. And you know, when there's, it's funny, again, just in human nature, how when there's sports players, how we feel connected to it as sports lovers. Because these are people who are just flying somewhere to compete in a contest or train.
And never quite make it to their destination, you know, and everybody at home having high hopes as to where they're going to finish. So it is very sad. But I mean, at the age of 16, their entire lives ahead of them still.
Yeah, a really, really crappy story. I don't want to make it sound frivolous, but let's move on. And let's go to a massive win for the Joburg Super Kings last night. JSK. It doesn't really help much, but it does mean that JSK have a better opportunity to play in the playoffs because there's a game tomorrow as well. Paul Royals haven't lost a game up until now, and they got a real hiding.
But didn't you also bet, Kevin ×2, didn't you guys bet on JSK?
No, I bet on Paul Royals.
Royals.
So Kevin McCallum actually won that bet. But, I mean, Faf du Plessis scores 87. They beat Paul Royals by 7 wickets. And, I mean, they had 13 balls to go. I don't know how the Royals managed to reach 150 for 9 because they were 60 for 5. So they really did well to get 90 runs in the last 11 overs. And you know, we chatted with Herschel Gibbs earlier on this week, and he said that the batting is a circus. How did they... their top order's out for 60 and their bottom order makes 90. It's all a bit topsy-turvy, but entertaining, and a great crowd at the Wanderers last night. Another game tomorrow. Tomorrow's game will determine the success or where they'll sit for the playoffs. And the playoffs are next week, and the final of the Betway T20 is next Saturday at the Wanderers, would you believe?
I think everything wraps up around the 8th, and then that's that. But it has been entertaining. Sold
out. The suites, the tickets, the grass, there is not a seat available at the Wanderers.
It's insane. And also, I think it's over 1 million tickets sold since this format has come around. So I think that is also very interesting, something to take a look at, Kevin.
Yep.
Football news, Arsenal charged by the Football Association, and this is the behavior of their players. I'm wondering if Chiefs and Pirates are going to behave, actually, because there are fines if they don't. But we're talking about Saturday's Premier League over the Wolves, and they won. And the game was dominated because of that decision of referee Michael Oliver. He sent off the Arsenal youngster Miles Lewis Skelly.
And the red card's now been rescinded.
Correct.
So he's got off literally scot-free. But and I guess the behavior of the players was so vicious towards Michael Oliver that they are being fined, but they actually were right.
And I mean, with that said, the FA also rescinded the card, as you said, and an innocent young man walked free after being exonerated for a crime he didn't commit.
You know, we see this a lot in rugby. The captain talked to the referee, you back chat, you back 10 yards. And they've never got this right with football in any environment, because as soon as the ref makes a decision, whether the players like it or not, they surround him, they jostle him, they barge into him. I mean, if that happened in rugby, everyone would just get sent off. And it's gone too far with soccer. And I don't know if FIFA or UEFA or whoever the lawmaking, the decision makers are, need to find a way to say, if you do this, there is...
What way?
There's a consequence. So not just a fine. In match, if you do anything to the ref that is outside of the lines of normality, and I'll tell you a funny story in a second, you should be punished by 10 yards for a penalty, or 10 meters. So if it's a free kick, it becomes a penalty. Outside the box, it literally becomes a penalty. Players will very quickly stop threatening the ref. So years ago, Manchester United came to South Africa for a match, and it was at Ellis Park. Brian Robson was my hero and the captain on the day. And I can't remember the name of the ref now. It had been Errol Sweeney. I think it actually was Errol Sweeney. It could be. And in the first 5 minutes, Sweeney makes a decision, or the ref makes a decision, and Brian Robson says to him, as they say in the English Premier League, ref. He sent him off because it was a normal thing to say, just a throwaway statement. I was devastated, but there you go.
I was telling Kevin McCallum a story as well, where Victor Gomes, he doesn't take any nonsense. So the minute you drop some F-bombs or your master, he raises those red cards. I think in an NFD match, he gave 4 reds, 2 apiece, just for the foul language and the abuse that he had to take. So, yes, but I mean, hooliganism in football has been around for so long. How are we going to curb it? Because also trolls coming out saying, I'm going to slaughter your unborn baby.
No, the fans are a different
going
thing.
on how, you've got police guard around your house, all because of fans.
The fans are a separate thing. For me, the players, unless you get a grip on the players and you punish them, or there is some consequence for poor behavior, then there's absolutely no way to manage it. And there's no consequence. Like children, if you tell them, I'm going to punish you, and then you don't, then there's no reason to not do that behavior. So Hugo Bruce, I see, is saying that if Relebohile Mofokeng goes to Glasgow Rangers, he would be committing career suicide. Have you heard the story of Mdu? Mdu's a big
Pirates
fan. It's not true. Okay. So there's obviously this story in the rumor mill that's running around. Bruce, it's funny. He says he should rather go and play for Barcelona B. He thinks Rangers is an absolute death knell. But he has been linked to a move, and Barcelona's reserves. I mean, that's huge. That must be big
huge.
money.
But I mean, Coach Hugo also shoots from the hip. Honestly, he gives his honest opinion when it comes to players and where they should and shouldn't move to. Definitely saying he should move. It's just
who's
the
Mofokeng's
way.
agent?
I don't know who Mofokeng's agent is, actually.
Let's try and find him. I think it would be good to get it from the horse's mouth, or for somebody who actually knows. But I mean, one swallow doesn't make a summer. So I guess he's still got to perform. And going to Barcelona B would be massive from an earnings point of view, from a reputation point of view. There is not one South African player in a top flight league anywhere in the world. Well, I wouldn't say anywhere, but certainly not in the top leagues. And that's a big move, and you never know. We could find him playing in the Premier League, in the La Liga. I would tend to agree with Bruce. Going to Glasgow Rangers with that shitty weather all year, rather than going to Barcelona and basking in the sun. I was actually watching Robert Lewandowski the other day, and thinking he spent all that time as a Pole in Germany, and now he must just be loving life in Barcelona.
Too nice. But how should Rele get his mind ready for tomorrow's game? It is the big derby out at F&B Stadium. We have sports psychologist Dr. Kokecho Tsebe on the line. Doc, a warm welcome to the show. Thanks for your time. A derby is a massive event. It is sold out. All eyes are on those players. Should they have been getting ready mentally a long time before Derby Day?
Good morning, Romy, and to the listeners. Look, I'd comment to say each and every game does contribute into the mental readiness, but that does not take away the magnitude of a Soweto Derby. It's a historic, highly competitive competition. So whatever skills physically and mentally they've acquired since the beginning of the season will play a role coming into this game.
The younger players, I mean, Erele Mofokeng, for example, 20 years old, would you say from experience to the younger ones, there is perhaps mental dexterity or, how should they be approaching it if it is that there's nerves, there's uncertainty, I'm sure they harbor their own inhibitions and fears around this day too.
Quite interesting, Romy. I'd say that focus on the process, not on the outcome. I'd advise them to focus on the process. Really has showcased how talented he is, be it domestically, also with the national team, Bafana Bafana. He must just do what he knows so that he becomes comfortable and be in the moment. And by virtue of being in the moment, it would inform the outcome of the game for whichever of the two teams.
Doc, I want to ask you just a small segue shift to look at a guy by the name of Marcus Rashford, who plays in the Premier League. Great player, off form, and falls out with the coach. And we see this in many soccer clubs. But mentally, or in the mind of the player outside of his actual skill and ability, when things go wrong with the coach, how do you, as a psychologist, bring a player back into the realm of having to perform, even though they are having difficulties or mental health issues? What do you recommend, or how do you help players get through that?
All right, thanks for the question. Look, is to also be realistic, just to be an understanding that in the high performance level, there's going to be a fluctuating performance at some point. I think what is essential is to be able to be aware. What is it that leads to being off form? And start to build a way to get into the bigger form. And when it comes to coaches, when coaches are also contributing to that, it's always important to give support to the athletes and just also be to manage the things they can control and the things that they may not be able to control. But still pay attention to the important skills they'll have to learn into improving their performance so that they can be on form. And look, at the end of the day, it's still the discretion of the coach to select who has to play and who cannot play.
Doc, I know you chasing a lecture. In closing, should you want
Before you go, I've got to squeeze in one more question, Doc. I'm sure your students or whoever you're lecturing can wait 1 minute. Visualization, and the only reason I ask about visualization is because my late father used to lie in the bed as a referee before big cup finals and think about all the situations that might happen. If there was a penalty, what would he do? How would he react to a player who was abusing him? What would he do if the crowd went mad or stampeded the field? And he would literally lie in the bed thinking about all these situations. How important is visualization for the players in the moment of a derby?
Very, very important, because it allows one to immerse themselves into an upcoming game, to mentally prepare how they're going to manage whatever occurrence that may happen, as you gave an example about the father on how he also prepared as a referee. So it allows you to be able to picture and also go further into managing the senses. How would it be, and how would one be able to prepare? And so it creates a sense of easiness and also somehow alleviate a sense of anxiety, because by virtue of mentally preparing, you're able to ease any other negative emotions such as anxiety, and also boost confidence and assist one's motivation and perspective going into a high performance game.
Doc, why is it that mental health, especially within, I guess, the athletic community, is on the rise at the moment. It's no more a stigma where it's like, oh, we're not talking about this. Everybody loud and openly and very proudly have come out to say, I struggle with this, I need that. What happened over the years?
Rumi, it was just a paradigm shift. Quite unfortunate for the longest time, it was a stigma. And obviously, we can't sabotage processes by, insisting that a certain discipline receive recognition. Processes at some point will reveal what topics needs to be spoken about. And I guess this is a phase where mental health is a priority. And I said that for the longest time, it was just neglected, food, and now it has received recognition and momentum, which is a very good shift. And I guess also informs club bosses and administrators to really take into account the mental health of athletes, so that also it does not only inform the current performance, but it also assists when it comes to retirement or recovering from injuries. It somehow provides a holistic, easiness and mental stability of the athletes.
Doc, thank you for making us your priority this morning. Enjoy
Yeah.
the lecture, and thank you very much for your time.
Tell whoever you're lecturing, we thank them.
Thank you for the chat. Thank you. Take care. Bye.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kokecho Tsebe there. So she traveled with Banyana when they went to the World Cup, Australia, New Zealand. She's been a part of the softball team and many other teams as well, national teams, big teams, just helping athletes cope with whatever mental load they're carrying. And I mean, in the Banyana team at the time, there were ample deaths. I think one family experienced 3 deaths, and this person was on the other end of the world, and still had to give their best, every day. But I know it was 5 different staff members who had bereavements in that time. And I thought, how great to have a psychologist on standby just to kind of align your mind, with so much that they're dealing with at that time.
Exactly. All right, let's move on to some other soccer. There was actually some Europa League action last night. Now, I cannot figure out the format, and I haven't followed it because, of course, if you're not playing on Tuesday or Wednesday in Europe, it doesn't really matter, right? So I know that Man United won. The latest standings, United won 2-1 against some club called FCSB. Never heard of them. Man United have got 18 points at third behind Atletico, Lazio, top of the log. Tottenham's won 3-0, 3 of their youngsters scoring. They're fourth on that log, but again, I don't know how this log works or the format, so I don't know what happened next. I think now
School me, please.
I don't know. We'll have to find out. We'll have to get an expert in, one of your friends who knows how the format works. But I really haven't followed Europa other than United playing. Also this weekend, it's France against Wales, Scotland against Italy, and the match of the weekend must be I don't know if they're top ranked in the world anymore, but certainly I think they are, the Irish against the English. The old firm, I guess you would call it, because they are sworn enemies politically, even still probably till today, with many bad memories there between what's gone on in the past. But that will be an absolute, for want of a better word, cracker. That's going to be a proper game. So that's 6:45 tomorrow. And I think the Man City. What's your thinking around Man City Arsenal? I know what Kev thinks. He thinks a draw.
I say give it to Man City.
You sure?
Well,
put your money where your mouth is.
That's why I don't do the betting thing. That's why I listen and I chirp, and I don't do the bets because I'll probably lose big money. So, yeah, who are you giving it to?
I still think Arsenal at home could probably come up with a good win. I haven't given. Yesterday we spoke about my predictions for the derby. I think it's watching all the footage of the week. And sorry to segue towards this, but we've spoken. I watched Neil Tovey speaking. I spoke with Andre Orense yesterday and Grant Johnson, and Grant reminded me of the fact that he was actually at the 2001 Ellis Park disaster.
Oh, wow. That happened on the 11th of April.
Which I don't think will ever happen again.
No.
Because I think the PSL is more advanced. I think their security protocols are better. I think fans recognize that they need to get to the ground.
It's always in the
early.
day as well.
Yeah.
It's always on a weekend as well.
Correct. And always, early kickoff. So I think those are all good things. What Grant was saying is how he remembers it going 1-0 down because they just scored. And of course, the way he understood it was that everybody outside the ground who was trying to get in rushed into the stadium and pushed everybody else forward. And he actually had a clip where he shows the footage. He actually showed it to us on his phone, where you see the footage of people being resuscitated on the side of the field in the corner of Ellis Park, which is a
I
very
watched that on
macabre scene.
TV. I remember distinctly where I was watching it and just not believing what I was seeing.
Yeah, I think it was a really sad day in South African sport. Moving forward, and this is 24 years ago, remember, I think the expectation now is that fans will arrive on time.
Fans never arrive on time. South African...
More on time.
No, we never arrive on time. Think about your driver's license, for example, right? Remember you needed to move from, or ID card, you needed to move from the green book to the ID card. Then they phased it out, and then it was like, last day. Who was in the line on the last day? Every single South African, their dog, their cat, everybody. So we don't arrive on time. We don't.
I mean, I remember back in the day, and I'm going back many years, Gary Bailey was coming to a soccer match with me, and he nearly got caught in a stampede outside, next to Ellis Park, the Joburg Stadium, which is underutilized or not utilized anymore. And I thought, geez, that was pretty scary. But to the positive side of it, the derby is more than just a football match. And I think the significance of it is that the country comes to a bit of a standstill, whether you're a Chiefs or a Pirates fan, because I'm neither. I have no interest.
Oh, come on. Choose a side.
Oh, no, I think Pirates will win, but I'm not a fan. I'm
Choose a side and become a
Drew's
fan.
part of the ghost. And Drew's part of the ghost. I mean, he's a real Buccaneer for life. And if you're a Makosi fan, that's fine. But I'm interested in the game because it's so much part of the fabric of South Africa as a football fan. But even if you're not a football fan, it really is a day probably to take notice of what happens. So for anybody who hasn't watched a derby or participated in a derby, there is something really special about it. We always talk about Real Madrid, Barcelona, Liverpool, Everton, Liverpool, Man United, Spurs against Arsenal. And these are all celebrations of, some cultural difference, the London derby. But Soweto is literally split down the middle. The beauty of this particular match is that the fans are not separated by fences and not separated by being caged into certain areas in case they actually start a fight. And that, to me, is probably the most unique element of
our derby.
Absolutely. And I told a story of how I went to a cup final match between Pirates and Chiefs, and Jerry Skosana scores 4 goals.
Yeah.
That was the Bob save.
Legs of Thunder.
Legs of Thunder scores 4, and me and my mates land up sitting with all the Kaiser Chiefs fans dressed in black and white by pure coincidence. We didn't really think about it. And I said to my mate, like, should we be worried? Like, we're sitting with all the Chiefs fans, and the Chiefs fans are like, well done,
Doesn't
guys.
matter.
That's so
Yeah.
lekker. And we were like, yeah, thanks, because now we have to pretend to be Pirates fans. But there is something, if you look at the Turkish derby, I think Fenerbahce and Galatasaray, I mean, people come out and kill each other.
Look, I wouldn't say that we don't kill each other. I don't think that's us as fans, but there is that argy-bargy. There is somebody that's going to hit someone. You get that. You know?
I completely get that, and it might be alcohol-fueled, but I think the spirit of this derby, or of this particular match, is we're all from Soweto. We'd love our team to win.
And if your team wins, we're going to be sulky, but...
We don't hate you. We're not against you, but we're for us.
Yeah, there's a winner, there's a loser. We all go home, some happier than others on the day. But there is, there's a different type of gees. There's an energy. It's why
That's
I'm
really
saying
unique.
It isn't. You can't call it. Yes, Pirates are playing really well, and everybody's like they're the favorites to win, but you just cannot call it because a derby comes with its own airs and grace and energy. And it is beautiful to watch. If you take a look at the fans, for example, the super fans who are going to come out, if it is that they've hollowed out a piece of bread on that day because that is how they're supporting, they're coming out to that. If it's that tiger that's going to go from one end to the other end, if it's a flag, if it is the fans who paint themselves white, in the spirit of the late Ngijimi, then so be it. If it's a Mama Joy, I just think there's just such a beautiful energy about it. And you often talk about the cricket and just how it's a family affair. The derby is too, where you see families all kitted out and the kids are in their jerseys and Everybody's out to have a good day and a good time. And like I said, someone wins, someone loses, and may the best team win.
Well, let's hope for some good entertainment, no crowd problems.
There is actually. There's a full-on lineup. I mean, there's music, there's entertainment from the minute you walk through the stadium gates, and I think they're open as early as, I think, 11, if my memory serves me correctly.
Dude's telling us we're getting too serious. He wants us to rock out our Friday. Rock it out, baby. All right, that's our show for this Friday. Have a great weekend. It's the end of January, the longest 6 months of my life. Romy, have a lekker weekend.
Thank you, you too.
We will be back Monday morning. Enjoy all the sports.
Oh, you're back? You loved it so much, you're back?
I think I'll come back. What the hell? Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.
And I'm too perfect to show you that I'm not 1,000 people I can be for you. You ain't the fuck you are.